He grew up in an Ottawa Valley musical family, and he rode that dream of becoming a Canadian recording artist all the way to Nashville. Today in conversation with Jason Blaine. Jason, we're on the shores of the Ottawa River on a beautiful Wednesday morning, and this is the home of your Now charity, and I want to talk a lot about that. But first of all, what's life in Nashville like?
Busy, man. You know, with a family of 4 kids now. It's hectic, but I love it.
4 kids. Fatherhood changed you?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel more blessed than anything, but it's so fulfilling. You know, they're wonderful kids and so different, and having them up here to share in this event and to see them running around, you know, with their nieces and nephews and friends up here. It's really cool because, you know, music was a big part of my life, and you know, it's just important to me for them to experience seeing a community come together and rally behind music and just for a great cause and great causes.
Are any of your kids musical?
Yeah. I think they all are a little bit to a certain extent. It's too early to tell, you know, what the future may hold for them. But my daughter was singing last night in the room backstage, and with the acoustics in the arena sort of dressing room. She sounded amazing, and she sang at sound check yesterday too. My oldest daughter, Grace, who's 12, and she sounded really great. So you never know, man.
Yeah, you've got 2 girls and 2 boys. They've really grown up as American citizens, even though they have Canadian citizenship.
It's true.
They're having a different upbringing than you are having. Has there been a cultural adjustment for you and Amy, your wife, living in the United States?
It's hard to say, because Nashville, where we live out of town, is I think the reason it has always felt so familiar is because it's very rural and it's very country. It feels a lot like Pembroke, so I think that's why it's always felt a little bit like home as well to us. But you're right, my daughter Grace was 3 months old when we moved there in the fall of 2006. And even though my son Carter, who's 9 now, he was born here in Pembroke, the fall of 2008, we actually sort of lived in Pembroke for a couple of months. We sort of moved back. I was touring. I had a really busy year that year, and we were sort of saving up to buy our first house, and I played everywhere across Canada. So he was born in Pembroke here. And then I bought the house. My wife was very pregnant, and I went down on my own, and I was sending pictures back to Pembroke, and she was living with her mom and dad here, and bought the house, and she came down 2 weeks later. After I drove to Nashville with a U-Haul towing our car, my dad came down and we bought our first house, and my son was 2 weeks old when we moved in. And then later we had, you know, Sarah, who's now 5. She was born in Nashville and at home, actually. And then Caden was born 2 years ago, also at home on Sarah's birthday.
Wow.
They share a birthday. So our 2 little American babies share a birthday, July 14th.
You're living in the deep south, you know, really the American Bible Belt.
Yeah.
I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
You appear, from my perspective, to be a more spiritual man. Is religion playing a role in your life now?
I would say so. I don't think I'll be leading the benedictions anytime soon, but I sort of around age 30, we started going to a church down there with some friends of ours, and you know, life can be crazy and stressful, and you start searching for things. I mean, I grew up going to church here in Pembroke, but I think as you move along your journey in life as a husband and father, you start really looking to put things in perspective and to sort of base your decisions on something true and a light to guide your ship by, so to speak. And so for me, that's Jesus, and that's the Word, and it's been for my wife and I, it's been amazing. We both feel really, really blessed to get to raise our babies in Nashville and live this dream, but more than that, to just sort of to look to that for our guiding light.
There's obviously a lot of Canadian country artists that now live in Nashville, and that's part of your inner circle and your group of friends.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really great. There's a lot of Canadians down there, and doing really, really well, by the way, too. I mean, some of the #1 songs of the past year. I mean, my good friend Derek Rattan has written 2 #1s for Blake Shelton and one for Jason Aldean. Another friend of mine, Stephen Lee Olson. We've written songs on my records. He wrote "Blue Ain't Your Color" for Keith Urban, and then my friend Tebe wrote a #1 song last year for Justin Moore. And so it's really cool to see everybody doing so well, and myself included. I write in Nashville for Word Music Publishing, Curve Music Publishing, and I have songs recorded down there in the U.S. as well. So it's a really great outlet. I love writing songs. It gives me something to do, you know, throughout the week, a creative outlet. You know, as an artist myself, you can really only put out, you know, maybe 2 songs a year, maybe 3 if you're lucky, but you might write 80 or to 100 songs a year. So just before we kicked off the interview today, I heard one of my songs was recorded by Madeline Marlowe. It's a song called "Neon Love" that's just blowing up, and I'm so happy for her. It's flying up the charts. We wrote this fun song together, and so that's really cool for me to hear that driving through town and hear it on the radio. It's almost even more exciting than hearing one of my own songs.
It's a tough business. You know that as an artist. It's a competitive business.
Yeah.
How much pressure do you feel in always, you know, people are asking, when's the next song coming out? How much pressure is there?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of pressure, but I think it's a lot of pressure to run a grocery store or something. You know, I think that people say, "Oh, that must be hard, the music business." I couldn't imagine, you know, people that run car dealerships or that run, you know, any sort of business. You know, my brother has a business called Law and Orders, and it's a roadside burger and fries and pizza shop, and that's a lot to have employees and everything. But I will tell you this: when you mentioned the spiritual component, you know, I try to find that balance and not base my, you know, my self-worth on the rise or fall of a song on the charts, because I've had hits and I've had misses that broke my heart. But it's hard, you know, to sort of keep that perspective and go, okay, well, this is you know, career, and this is just music, and this is fickle, this is ever changing, but family and real life, you know, husband, father, brother, son, that's reality. The music industry is, you know, is a roller coaster.
But I'm sure that you get strength from other artists. I'm sure that there's lots of conversation, and they've all experienced those highs and lows as well.
Yeah, it definitely, and that's just it. Knowing that, like, and I've had them all. Like I've won major awards, and I've played amazing stages for thousands and thousands of people, and had great successes. And then I've had songs that I thought, man, this is gonna be huge. This is gonna be the one, and it just didn't pop like something else that maybe I didn't even think was going to be a big hit. So you never know.
One of those hits was "They Don't Make Him Like That Anymore."
Yeah.
That was a song about your grandfather who has passed away in the last few years.
Yeah.
Tell me about that song and the inspiration and how it came to be.
Boy, that was around the time of life. I was about 30 or 31, and I was just thinking, wow, you know, well, I think we got together around Christmas time, and my brother and I were noticing that my granddad always would when they got up to leave, he would go get my grandmother's coat and put it around her shoulders, and then he'd go out the door and he'd open her car door and sort of help her in. And we just always thought, like, wow, like that's, you know, in such an age of, you know, I have so many friends getting divorced, and, you know, it just, and that happens, and it is what it is. But, you know, those kind of love stories, the 60-year love stories, I thought, man, there's a country song in that, just beautiful. And I thought that we just told the story. I wrote that song with Derek Rattan, and I literally was calling people going, you know, well, what year did they build the church, you know, and summer 1957, and then we just used the date, you know.
It's in the song.
It's in the song, and his favorite artist is Alan Jackson, so we just, you know, and I remember writing the song with Derek Rattan. I said, he's one of those guys that, you know, combs his hair like Elvis, you know, and not so much, you know, when he was like 80, but all those guys use the Brill cream, you know, and pays cash for everything and knows everybody.
I'm almost getting to the
store.
point I want you to sing a verse.
Right. Well, and Derek was writing and was making notes, and I was just talking, and then he literally goes, I think I got something. Still combs his hair like Elvis, pays cash for everything. And I was like, we were off to the races. So it was a really special thing. And then I'll tell you this story. The nominations were coming out for the CCMAs in 2012, and gosh, heavy hitters in the category. Dean Brody had a massive hit song with Canadian Girls. Johnny Reed was in the category. New guy on the scene, Dallas Smith, had a smash that year. And my grandpa calls me up and he says, you know, if you end up nominated for the song you wrote about Granny and I, he said, I think we're gonna go. And he has this condition where, like, when he flies, he'll lose his hearing for like, you know, a month almost. And so they hadn't been on a plane in years. And I said, Grandpa, I said, I don't want to, you know, put you through that. And I said, you know, this is a really tough category, and these things can be a little political. And you know, I don't want you guys to be disappointed. But he said, no, you know what? I got a good feeling about it. I just have a good feeling. So we get nominated for the thing, and they booked the flight, and my mom and dad came out, and they came out. And when they called my name that year and we won the award, I went up there and I just pointed, I said, how did you know? How did you know? And it was really special. Now the video and their story, which we filmed here in Pembroke and at their house, has over 1 million views, 1.4 or 5 million views on YouTube, which is really, really cool. So before he passed, I was able to show him some video of all the crowd singing along to the song. So it's tough to it's emotional because it was they're very special to us, and it was almost an end of an era, but a beautiful life and beautiful love story.
It was a different song too. It was a ballad. At the time, you had songs that weren't ballads, and and you know, you told the story about not being sure about it, but after you recorded it, you know, obviously it was very, very personal.
Yeah.
But did you say, you know, I think we might have something here?
Well, I knew the song turned out really, really great, and it turned out exactly the way I hoped. So I was really happy with the record. But it was the first time that total heart and commerce lined up at the same time. Art and commerce have always, you know, been in contention with each other. But when it happens, when you can write something so pure and so honest and meaningful, and have it also do well commercially on radio and connect with people, because it was a personal song, you know. But people related to it. People commented on YouTube and said, you know, man, this is the kind of love story I want to find or live, and so that was really cool. And you know, I've tried since then, you know, to have a couple of things that were really meaningful and stuff, and some of them didn't work. You know, sometimes you just the people just want a good party song, you know, and that's fun too. I think that's why I love country music, because, you know, it's really about life. You can have a good time on Saturday night. You can have songs about family and faith. It's because it's all real.
When we come back, we're going to talk about Jason's charity, which has been giving back in his hometown of Pembroke.
In the most of this moment in time, we